Okay, I'm hoping I'm starting to stream. So let me see. Okay, YouTube has seemed to pick it up. Let me go to Twitch. Having a little problem today here. So, okay, Twitch picked it up. Now come I can't get to my, I gotta get into my dashboard. Sorry about this. I crashed OBS a few times here, so it's bothering me here today. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stream on that vertical platform that they have, and I got it working this morning, and I can't do it again tonight. So let's see what's happened here. Now that says YouTube and my statistics are excellent, stream healthy. Okay. Now, what if I click on this one? Nope, says something's wrong. So, what has happened here? So let me shut it off and start it again. And now see what's going on. Okay, something's still wrong with it. That's not good, but I guess I've got YouTube and Twitch, the normal ones going. Okay. Samuel 2 Samuel chapter 10. And what I found is that I had to do a little work on it. And keeps YouTube was crashing on me here. So now what I had done was I tried to figure out how I begin here. So, oops. There, now you're on. And my camera has been hit. Okay, that's running a little bit better now. But I don't see myself on YouTube yet. Okay. Twitch. Yes. Twitch is always good to me. All right. And it happened after Solomon was born. I had to put something here because when I was, I got to go through all this stuff again. I put this guy as the king, and why I did that, oops. And why I did that is because when I done this before, and let me see, perfect. Not perfect. Okay, let me bring this down. Let me do a word search here. And then bring up the last one. And move this over a little bit down. And put in find. And then find again. Whole words. That's what happens. Match whole words. Okay. As you can see, in the book I already done, this is going to be from Samuel 1, I guess. Right? Yeah, Samuel 1, chapter 27. I made it this guy's name here. Where did I? This guy's name right here. Or asked Ish, the ruler for him, and it's going to be the king. I got to edit that to be king. So I'm going to change this later. King for Edom. Now, what's unique about that is we've got other names now used in Samuel again. Over here, they got him the son of Nash. Okay. Then David, I will show kindness to Han, the son of Nash, or Nash, Nahash, who is a king of Edom. Okay, so I had to explain that it was king. These guys had died a couple hundred, maybe 400 years ago. So here we've got these guys here. And this is where David fled to when Saul was chasing him, and he let him have some land, and he ended up with his wife Abigail. The story that we have this story about when he went to consult concerning his father. David sent to consult them over to him, to his son. So the thing here is this story I know is one of his last battles. So I had to add Solomon was born. King Achish for Edom died, and Han, his son, became their king. And David said, I will show kindness to him, or Han. So that means that becomes a group here. And he sent guards to him. And these wouldn't be servants. They would have to be close and be respected when they show up. So for him to be a king to send, he's going to send his own personal guards to console him concerning his father. But when David's guards came to Han in Edom, and this was like when they came to the land of the Amorites, he had to be there. And then the prince that was there, the prince now Amorites been dead for a long time. This is kind of where I left off. This has to be from Damascus, that they came down as well to console him or were visiting him. So this has to be Aram. The prince for Aram said to him, and he has to be of an importance person for this guy to be listening to him, okay? And stirring up trouble, and then they're going to become friends anyway. So, or Aram's going to be friends. So I have to have it as a prince for Aram said to Han, do you think David is honoring your father because he has sent I'll put 2 guards, and I'll add that, 2 of his guards to you. Has David not sent his guard? Or I would say, or is, like put this, do this, or is David sending his guards to console you in order to search as spies to overthrow you. So, oops. Okay, now this changed to a 4 verse because the story is. Wait a second, I got 3 verses here. and 3 verses here. So what can I get rid of? Or is David sending? I could put them in order. And this way I would get rid of that, not edit that. And it's the servants, I'll just make it as the word them. Okay, so it'd be like this. Or is David sending them in order to search as spies to overthrow you? Okay. Now this I had double space here. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Oh, I got to make this small now. Because those two sound like they're a really good group. So I'm going to just start saying the group starts here. So Han took David's guards and shaved off their beards, not half, don't need the word half, and cut their garments and sent them away from him. Now, what if this is really a 4? Because I see 4 down below. So what I have here, I thought I put guards instead of this. So servants were servants to guards right here. This is what I had. So where did I put that? Here. And I added the word console from here. I'll say I added that to make that 4. This makes it 5. David sent. But that's a separate subject. Is this 4 verse? If I'm switching stories here, and I don't like this going from a 3 to a 4 verse for no reason, it would be at the start of a story, not in the middle of the story. Although it has happened because they've really screwed the text up. And it happened after Solomon was born, the king. I could put this and put this, but don't need them to. That would make that 4. Then David said, I'll show him kindness and send my guards to console him concerning his father. But that doesn't work either. if I put, so his guards went, that came, went here. Oops, this is, Now let me see something here. If that one and that one are the beginning of the story, that being a spot of 2, then this one would be a spot of 2. Now this would be the start of the new story, where it could become 4. So David's guards went to Han and Edom, and the prince for Aram said to Han, "Do you think David is honoring your father because he has sent 2 of his guards to you?" So then this would become that. Boy, is this rough. Okay. And this would be 1. It has to be 4. And I will go say cut up and cut up their garments. Now these can't really be garments. It's got to be their clothing. Okay, so I'm going to change that to clothing. I would say uniforms, but I'm not sure if that would be better because they're guards. I made them guards, just not servants. If I put here messengers, then they would be wearing, David sent his messengers. So if I do that, and then I've got to backtrack with this. Got to take this and put that. Okay, now I think I've got it right. Because I was thinking the guards would be the most important and closest to David. But when he sent his messengers to you, yeah, there'd be messengers because I got to get the word clothing and not garments. I hate that word garments. These are usually hides that they're wearing. So their clothing would be hides, but now this, maybe that's why I didn't know what to do with this. That's what was going on. He shaved off their beards and sent them from him. Okay, if I get rid of all this, okay, took David's messenger and shaved their beards and sent them away. Now that's 2 spaces, and this is 2 spaces. When a runner told David his guards were humiliated, David said, David sent his runner, this guy here, back to them. I put, and David sent him back to his two guys that he sent. So I'm changing this, but it's coming from there. And David sent him to the two guys to stay at Jericho. That's a change of a story. And David sent him to them. And I don't use this. When a runner told David, who he had sent to meet him, his guards were humiliated. So if I got a 4-verse there, how can I make this a 4-verse? And that would be that I've got to use these words here. When a runner told David, who he sent to meet them, we sent to meet him and I'm going to have to straighten that out later. When a runner told David, who he sent to meet them, and his messengers were humiliated, who was sent to meet them, and his messengers were humiliated. David sent them, and David sent him to them again. And David sent him to them to stay at Jericho, and then use these two as the 4 verses. Wow. Wow, that's all I got to say. Let me do this. Okay, catch it up. It's still working. Oh, I forgot to bring the chat board over. And oh, I've got it up. I don't have YouTube's open here. Sorry, I do end up with a few people from time to time in the chat room, so I try to not to ignore them. Right, so now I can see that when they pop up, I got them on screen here. And Dave, okay, I gotta get past this. Now this is where I had some real problems, because I was trying to figure out what was to be said ahead of time. So I really did a lot of work. I think this is where I left off. Now when Edom's learned, and this has to be more or less that I'm adding this, even though it's close enough to saw meaning learned, that they well, David hated them and was gathering men. So this guy sent his messenger to the king of Aram with silver to hire Aram's warriors. Oh, that's right. There is 4 here. What am I doing? Now when Aram's learned David hated them, and I'm moving David from there to there, and was gathering men, then this guy, okay, now this, yes, these are 2 here. So this means that's a group there. All right, now from the Armenians. Higher warriors. Now this, I don't think I need all the numbers. Whoop, I just seen something pop up. You know, I guess that's my problem. Twitch just always screws with OBS. I don't know why they do that. I'm sure they're aware people stream with OBS, but every time I get message after message pop up about my bit rate for my audio, and I've got it at the lowest setting that OBS has, and they tell me to set it lower. I can't do it. And the Armenians. This I'm just going to say is out. They hired warriors. Okay, don't need to know how much they had, but this would be, yeah, the second group. So now, when David heard he fired them, he sent Job with their mightiest men. He went Job and all the army. Because I think this part is the dividing of the men up. Okay, and the remainder he placed in the hand of his brother. And that's not going to be it. David's last battle, because David's going to go into the cities later. And there is actually a psalm from David, when he went and approached him, how they feared him and they came out to him humbly. So I know it's not his brother here. So I got to start introducing David into the story. When David heard he hired them, he turns to David. Okay, so I'm not really inputting him, I'm just putting his name. He went with Joab Yeah, I don't need to introduce him. He's already there. He went with Joab and all the army. And all his army, which would be David's army. Okay. But the warriors. So I'm not sure if the story is how it's going, whether he's sending them down and they haven't got to him and he's cutting them off, or in the story that I'm going to do here, this has to be warriors is the intent. And the warriors from Edom came and drew up in battle array at the entrance of the city. That's not true. David wouldn't have gone up to the city. So let me get the map that I know that exists for this story from our Creator's Hidden Formats. And see, where is it? Okay, Aram is up here. Edom is down here. Edom's going to array for battle. I have it here in Edom. So they got an array out here because I don't know where they're going to cross the river at. So let's say they array right here. So it's by the river. And here, David is going to send them this way, and he's going to go up this way. David's going up this way. Job's coming down here. So now you got an idea what's been playing in my head. At the bridge by their river. This can't be true. This. I put land. In the land. And then that. And the warriors from Edom. and come and drew up in battle array in the land by the river. Because you can't set up a battle array. This is line up your men in formation, rows of them to charge against each other. So this can't be true here, what they're saying here. It would have to be like this. Well, the Armenians were by themselves in the field. By themselves in a field. And when David saw them, were by themselves in a field. Raid. Oh, coming to battle for okay. If I make this the 4 verse, Armenians warriors whereas were in a field coming to battle. Stopped as they saw them. For they saw Israelis. So they saw were in a field coming to battle, but they stopped. They stopped. They saw them. First saw us. Let's put a first person writer here. Okay. Wow, there is a lot of text that I've had to add all over the place. I don't think I've done this much editing to make a story correct in a long time. This is just a lot of it. Okay, I hope it gets better here. Now, when David, well, let's see if that stopped. And this is, now when David saw Now, when David saw, okay, this has got to be changed to that they're behind him. Here it's saying they were in the front and back. So Edom's was in front when they came up, and then it's saying that they were there. So now, well, the Armenian warriors were in a field coming to battle. And stopped behind us. Now, okay, now that's making a little bit more sense. In my mind, I have to always try to make sure my editing is as truthful as possible. So now when David saw the battle was set, the battle was against him because he was front and rear. He selected from all the choice men of Israel and arrayed them against the Armenians. Boy, that's pretty. He selected from all the choice men his mightiest. His mightiest men. But it's got to be in these. He and these he arrayed against the Armenians. Okay. And the rest, I'm going to say rest of his army and the rest of his army this has got to be Job here. his commander. So the king went one way and his commander went the other way. And his commander, I'm going to say I added that. He placed in the hand of Job, his commander, to be against Edom. To be against Edom. Okay. And the rest of the army he placed in the hand of Job, his commander, to be against Edom's. But then David said to him, let's see, this would be red. If the Ammons, okay, so he only took his mightiest men. Selected from his army. He selected from his army mightiest men. So it's not like he knew how many was over there against them, against those. So, okay. So it's like they might not have enough. So David said to him, if the Armenians are too strong for me, then you will help me. But if Edoms are too strong for you, then I will come help you. Let us show ourselves courageous. Be courageous. How's that? Are too strong for you, then I will come to help you. But let us show ourselves courageous. But let us show courage. our courage. For the sake of our people, let us show our courage before for our men. And Ivy, our curator. Let Ivy do what is good in his sight. Now that's David, the way he talks. All right. And let Ivy do what is good in his sight. Let Ivy do what is good in. I'm going to put all these as in his sight. Now that would be two good groups together. So Joel and his men I'm going to put drew up, meaning that you got to understand this is a battle array, that they came as a force, drew up near. Now this would be David. And because it's a mount, that this would have been, they were lined up in a valley. Otherwise, they could not see them. But from looking down, it would be where this has to happen. Okay, so this has to be, this I'm just changing because it's making more sense. It couldn't have been in a field. They had to be in a valley, because down here, how did they see them? So David and his men, okay. So David and his men were up to battle the Armenians. But they fled before him. When Edom's saw, no, Edoms saw the Armenians fleeing, before Joab. Now that would be a 4 verse as well. And I'm going to use this word. They also fled before Joab. So they also fled before Joab. No, boy, now this is saying that this guy's the Armenian king. Um, how can they come to Jerusalem? That's not making any sense. And entered the city. Then Job returned to fight against. But he's here in the field and he saw him fleeing. Then Job pursued. I need it. Then Job pursued to fight. Kill and from Edom. You gotta have him pursuing him. Then Joab pursued to fight the men from Edom. That doesn't make any sense. I couldn't correct that for the 4th verse. Now, if I don't use this word pursue and say fight against them, and say that if I use that word, not this word, then it's like they fled to the cities. But it's got to be this verse has got to move up. Verse up 1. Then let me put here. Then Job. Oops. Entered their cities. Fight against the men from Edom. Now that still is a 4 verse, and I got there. So now this means David's got to be chasing them back as well. Okay, now because I know the story, he's got to go up to Damascus. And like I said, that proverb, or that psalm can only be said by David about him approaching these those towns up there, and they came out because it was him. So that is already there, and I was going to put it by this text when he says this. So when the Armenians I gotta say fled, because this word saw is not working. Armenians fled. Then they gathered themselves together. But they hadn't been defeated, they fled. So that this verse doesn't work. When the Armenians fled, they gathered themselves together. And this, I'm going to just call out. It's just not going to exist. When the Armenians fled, they gathered themselves together. Now, when this was told to David, he gathered. It's a 3-verse. It would have to be, get rid of this. When I need it now. I gotta use the word it. I don't like to use it. I just, when it was told David, now when it's told to David, he gathered his army, all Israel together. All this really means his army. Now when it was told David, he gathered his army. So I can't have him crossing back over the river like he's at home when it was told. Because this story is saying that they went up there and then they come back down. But that is what I'm going to have the text say. Because Job's there and he's fighting against him, went in to Edom. So David's is out there kind of like, okay, let's let him run, let him go. And then what had happened here, the way I'm seeing it, the Armenians fled. The Armenians fled. And fled but gathered. When the Armenians fled, they gathered themselves together. Now, this would be a second story, like the second war that's happening. Now, when David was told, I was going to move some words around, but now when it was told to David, he gathered his army out there in the field. And went to the Armenians. As they met He gathered his army and went to the Arameans, and as they met David, they fought against him. As they're fleeing, and David killed David's army. Killed the Arameans. And the commander of their army. They didn't make peace with them. And the commander of their army now this. I got this guy here in the king's timeline. Now down here, I've got, see, I got him, then I got him, then I got him, and then I got him, and then him. All these are from Aram. But this guy, he was at Solomon's time. And this is saying, and this I would be introducing if this guy's, I hate this song, these names, then I want to shorten them up. When new, oops, new is word defeated. By David. When King has a new, I got to come up with a smaller name for this. Like change the front of this. Get rid of this. Let me put a B here. Get rid of this. So I'm going to add this. Now I've introduced the king before that other king that I've got. But that is not right because this isn't, they aren't related. So I can just say add, or get rid of this. Let's do something easy. Ezar. That's easy enough for me to. Sorry, but I needed to make it easy enough for me to read and not be confused with everything else. So he's from Aram. The other guy becomes the king of Aram that had did on the timeline. This guy had, where's he? He fled as a child from Edom. Became a raider, and then he went up and he took over Damascus, and so that's how he becomes a king for Aram. So knowing that, he's our new, because we're defeated by David. They made peace with Israel, and this Israel is all capitals. With Israel, they made peace with Israel and were their subjects, because they ended up, David took a lot of things from them, but I don't know if he killed the king or not. That's the thing. Maybe he left him in power. He gave up. He's admitted the defeat. So this, I'm adding this way. I'm adding and adding. We'll put people. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and clean this text up. Here. Here. I don't know why it jumps 900 pages. Okay, I forgot to downsize that. Okay. So where's this start at? Okay. It happened at, oops, let's put this over. It happened after Solomon was born, King Eashoo's for Edom died, and Han his son became their king. And David said, I will show kindness to Han So David sent his messengers to consult him concerning his father. 2 spots here. So his messengers, okay. So his messengers went to hand to Edom, and the prince for him said to hand, this is where it's going to be a 4 verse. 2 of his messengers, or as David sent his messengers, consult you in order to search as spies to overthrow you. So Hannah took and sent them away from him. 2 spaces. When a runner told David, who was sent to meet them, and his messengers were humiliated, David sent him to them to stay in Jericho until their beards grew, and then return to him. Now when Edom, 2 spaces, hated them and was gathering men, this is 2 here. So Hannah sent his messengers to that king that Ezer, with silver to hire Aram's warriors. David heard he hired them. He went with Joab and all his army. And the warriors from Edom came up and drew up in battle array in their land by the river, while the Aramean warriors were gathered in the valley, coming to battle, but they stopped behind us. And warriors were in the valley. Coming to battle. Was army. This would be 2. When David saw the battle was against him in front and in the rear, he selected from his army our mightiest men, and these arrayed against the Armenians. This means 2 and then back to 1. And the rest of his army he placed in the hand of Joab his commander to be against Edom's. 1 space. Then David said to him, if the Armenians are too strong for me, then you will help me. 2. But if Edom's are too strong for you, then I will come to help you. But let us show our courage before our men, and Yhvh our curator, and let Yhvh do what is good in his sight. And then it would be 2 again. That's good. So David and his men drew up near to battle the Armenians, but they fled before him. Edom saw the Armenians fleeing, so they also fled before Joab. This has to be. Then Joab entered their cities, to fight against the men from Edom. This, I gotta say, is a 4-verse group meeting or missing. It just, we're not seeing these stories being tied together that good right here. So I'm going to add this one space, then there's going to be 2 here. 1, 2. When the Armenians fled, they gathered themselves together. Now when it was told to David, he gathered his army and went to the Armenians to meet and fight. And David's army killed the Armenians and the commander of their army. 2 spaces. When King Azar knew he was defeated by David, he made peace with Israel and were their subjects like Edom's people. Okay, now we bring up here. Oops, too many. Oh. Now I already did 11. And the only thing from chapter 11 I got was this. That's it. Then when I did 12, that's all I got was this. Okay. So now watch what happens to the text here as I finish with this. That was 10. 11. All of this that's being told is not true. And David's now this, I guess I didn't realize that Sheba was here. Well, what I didn't like was David committing adultery. So I guess I've got to edit this. So this is not true anymore. There. And David went up. I'm thinking he had to climb the stairs to get to his roof. Went up and walked around his house. And from the roof he saw and David went up on the roof of his house. On the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful in appearance. David sent his messenger to get her. Now it wouldn't be washing, but washing. Couldn't be bathing because you can't look at each other's nakedness, and she wouldn't be doing that out in her yard when she knows how close she is. So she was just washing her clothes. I can't have David being an adulteress here. So this has to be after his wife Abigail dies. Murphy saw a woman washing. A woman was very beautiful in appearance. Okay. And David sent his messenger to get her. To get here. And when she came to him, don't need this. No. As evening came, David went up on the roof of his house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing. David had good eyesight at his age, so and the woman was beautiful, and she was. Can't have woman twice. This was supposed to be down. I'm going to make it back, and then I got to correct it this way and get rid of that and say that this, and she was very beautiful. Okay. And David sent his messenger to get her. When she came to him, he just can't commit adultery here. That's just not going to happen on my watch. So, what is it saying here then? I'm sorry if it is actually working on the vertical for YouTube, because I see it's running and the clock is running, but no, I got to get rid of that. I forgot to. Yeah, that was a waste of time for anybody. I forgot to turn off the thumbnail. So an hour and 30 minutes later, okay, I noticed the problem. I'm just going to put it here to become, and she became his wife. I cannot have being against our creator. his wife. So none of this here. This is talking about David sending supposedly her husband into battle, but that's adultery, and that's not good. So what I got to do is say, okay, this is all I need to do to introduce Bathsheba. Except for her name isn't there. I have to replace it here. Now I get this. Introducing her here. Okay. Now I can go over here, this text. I need something 9 point. Boy, there's going to be some editing here later. But this I gotta get out here, get there. Now I've got a story. Now I can get rid of this. And then make this a third. Then Bathsheba birthed a son, and he named him Solomon. Ta-da! There's how that text is going to be put together. That is so funny. But that has to be the way it is. I'm just, because this, so as I go down here, I've got this, and all this was about him sticking and saying his, he was adultery. So this can't happen. So this is just out now. Now it comes chapter 12, and it keeps continuing this story about our creator gonna talks to him about two cities and tells him a story, and then David's mad, and then all of a sudden Nathan is gonna come and say, what is it? These things are gonna happen to you. What do you want? By doing evil in his sight. This is Nathan coming down. I'm just doing a summary real quick as I'm reading. And lie with your wives in broad daylight. This is just not true. I mean, so none of this can be true. And then this needs to be edited here and say, then Bathsheba birthed a son, and he named him Solomon. So that's how that verse got done. And all this stuff here, all of a sudden, these guys are going to go fight with guys again from the city. That's not true. Even captured the city waters. Big deal. What are they doing with the water from a city? They can't move it. So what's the big deal about capturing a city water? Stuff like this is just over salted sometimes. And now chapter 13, this is all out. Okay, because all of a sudden it's his son Ashlam is talking about had a beautiful sister. Ashlam was a guy that I think Ashlam is the guy that was killed by Joab, the commander, when Abner's men came down as a group, and Joab's came up with a group, and say 200 of them, the verses 200 fought together. And when Abner's was losing, they still were being chased, and Absalom was supposed to be the one that he killed. And then Joab, his brother, killed Abner. But now here, they got this story about Abner had a sister, and then he's going to rape her. So this is not going to be in the story. These stories like this are just nothing, and yet it's really detailed. But if you find a format in this, this would be among the first things that they were entering into the text that would have been wrong, and they're trying to make it for their God. So this is all out, and put ashes on her head after she was raped. Then he says you can put up with it, and David gets mad, and then all of a sudden they go and kill him or whatever. Anyways, this is just a nonsensical story. And then it comes to 14, the same thing. This keeps talking about the subject above, and this is not good. This is just oversalted and trying to introduce new people and new stories. But I will never allow this type of thing, because if they killed somebody, they were to be killed. So that was a commandment from our Creator, or a law from our Creator. And then 15, again, the same thing. They still got this guy, and now he's setting himself up as a king, and he had runners running before him, and now he's going to be battling with David. David is not going to, he goes down to Hebron, and he rules in Hebron while David's up in Jerusalem as king. So you know this is oversalted, can't be true at all. Now what happens here after all this crap, then we got 16. David's going to do the same thing, or talk about something else. Now, this guy was supposed to be like a son from Jonathan, but I threw that story out. So all this about him is to be thrown out. And then 17, again, we still got this guy, and he's going to hopefully then I'll strike down David alone, and you know that this story doesn't happen, or this is, again, it's just made up bullshit. 18 is made up. Okay, so instead of, I'm just going to say 18 is out, 19 is out. I mean, I don't agree with any of the text that's in these. 20 is out. Okay, that's gone too. Now, I was getting mad when I was doing this because you can see that I'm not even cutting up the verses. I started scanning them and I realized that there's nothing in here that was actually could be truthfully said, because we don't need these stories either. And 21 didn't make it. Okay. And if you're guessing, you're right. 21 didn't make it. 22 didn't make it. But here, this is what I wanted to show you. This is talking about our Creator, and there is a psalm that's almost exactly like this. But smoke, now this was because the earth shook and quaked, the foundations of the heavens trembled, were shaken because he was angry. He is supposed to be our Creator, YV, and smoke went up from his nostrils and fire from out his mouth. We have a volcano God here, okay? And then he rides on a cherub. He rides on top of angels. So this is idiocy here, okay? This here is idiocy. But that's what's in the text. So if everyone believes every one of these words here, then our Creator is a volcano God. So, and then 23 was out. I started working on it, but then I realized, so no, let me go through here, especially when I got to the word sweet palmist. I said, no, this is going to be junk as well. And there's no real true story here that really talks about an event, but it names all these people. And then 24, I'm going to go over because I found that, yes, when I started throwing things out, that, hey, wait a second, there's a story here. So, and this is going to be the story of where David counts the people after he becomes king, and our Creator is going to give him a few choices and stuff like that. So this story, I know, makes sense. It's not like it's stupid, oversalted text. So that's going to be the end of this poor video, poor starting, poor ending. Anyways, yeah, I noticed that. Okay, I'm not okay. When I was just looking at the camera. I got this. My camera has moved again. I keep bumping it when I sit up or stand up. So